Hey, welcome to the show. That was quick. That was a short intro. Hey, welcome to the show. Heads Up Advisor, sponsored by Virtual Alliance. For those of you who don't know, hey, tonight's show is going to be quick, but get out your pen or pencil or your recorder because it's going to be quick. It's going to be hard hitting. It's going to give you things to do, things to remember to do. So, the story today is going to be about follow up and all of the opportunities available to you because you're the persistent person who doesn't give up. And at the end of the day, when it's important to the prospect, they're only going to remember the incumbent and anyone who's bothered to continuously and persistently and consistently follow up with them. The only ones in there. You already know the barrier is pretty low. The competition, in many cases, has fallen asleep. They've taken their client for granted. They're not presenting options with the intent of positioning it as a good thing. Many of the options presented by the incumbents brokers are just purely defense, not offense. And so when they're pitching a defensive, oh, by the way, here's what this works, then they're going to tend to skew their conversation about, well, but here's the risk. And so you can say you presented everything, but you know as well as I do that if you really want to push an agenda, you can. So here's the challenge. 80% of outbound outreach to a prospect results in no change. That's across all industries. It's not just healthcare brokers. So the trick is, hey, we've met a prospect. We weren't able to get them over the hump. We couldn't get them to identify that they had a problem that we could solve, whatever it was. So they decide to either go in a different direction, or more often than not, as you guys know, they're going to stay the same, status quo. So what are you going to do to follow up? Well, I can guarantee you that the same business publications that tell you that 80% of pitches end up in no change will tell you that 80% of sales will happen between the 5th and the 12th follow-up. And guess what your competitors are doing? Well, let's talk about you first. Guess what you're doing? Nothing, right? You lose, you take it personally, you pout, you don't follow up. Maybe you follow up once. That would be about 64% of people. Maybe you follow up twice. Now you're less than half. And then it falls off a cliff because nobody follows up beyond 2 times. And yet there is a world, or you should have a world of content available to you that allows you to stay in front of the prospect in such a way that you're not solicitous per se in every one. You're trying to be helpful. You're trying to be beneficial. You're trying to point out something to them that they mentioned in your conversation initially that you thought would be of interest to them because they said they were having this issue or this, that, or the other thing. Very simple. So, you've got obviously a call follow-up, right? You want to, however you're comfortable, right? If you want to thank them for their time and consideration, hey, what a great time to take a survey. We're very concerned about our company. We love what we do. We believe that we can help people better than anyone else. And I'm curious if you'd share with me why it is you didn't change, or why it is you didn't hire us, or what was missing, or what could we have included that would have made it work for you. Whatever that is, take a survey on the call for the follow-up. It's very non-threatening if you keep the right tone of voice, right? Don't be challenging. You can send them an email. I wouldn't ask for the survey in an email nearly as often as I would try to do a phone call. You could do an old-fashioned handwritten letter, right? So depending on the age of the prospect, right? If it's somebody who's older and more experienced and comes from maybe a school time frame of the 20th century, they're going to be interested in and appreciate a handwritten note. Because guess what? I remember doing retail, and for 30 years, clients would always send us thank you notes because I had many of them say, nobody even remembers my birthday. I don't know how you guys do it. I mean, it wasn't a big deal, but they thought it was to them, and that's all that mattered. And they're like, you're the only one who remembers. It's kind of a non-event at my age. And so easy ways for them to appreciate you. If they're younger people, then obviously, a handwritten letter with probably no punctuation, no commas, no periods, and lots of abbreviated made up words that might work, right? FOMO and YOLO and et cetera, et cetera. So you could do, what about a personal visit? You could do a personal visit with just kind of just a nice thank you, right? So if you're the kind of person who likes to do, and you're doing a lot of face-to-face meetings with the small, mid-sized employers in town, because in a post-COVID world, I guess, it's back. You can do face-to-face meetings. You could even use technology. Make a video message. There's lots of companies. I know Flume off the top of my head, right? You just reach out, you shoot a quick video, you say thank you, you add some value, you tell them, and you might want to think about this, right? You might reach out to them on social media, for example, right? Make a connection, see what they follow, see what groups they belong to. You might want to figure out a way to track and make a comment when they make a comment. I don't know if you have a newsletter. Maybe you have a blog. You send that to them. These are all very simple ways for you to stay in contact. Remember, 5 to 12 follow-ups, and you'll be the only other person they remember other than the incumbent. And frankly, after you've contacted them 10 or 15 times, they're going to start to look at the incumbent and go, how many times have you guys heard this story? I only see him at renewal once a year, right? Interesting. You might want to even send them testimonials, right? Oh, it's a shame that we weren't able to work together. The timing wasn't right for you this year. You didn't have enough bandwidth. You had competing demands, whatever it was. But just know, right? We have many, many satisfied customers. And while delay is not denial, I look forward to potentially, working with you in the future. So, these are very simple ways that you can follow up. You can send them hey, I thought of you. I saw this article about your industry and it made me think of you. Oftentimes you guys are talking to human resource people. Oh my gosh. I mean, there's an endless stream of HR articles that you don't even have to write it. Just copy it, forward it with your commentary on why you thought this would be of interest and value to them in their challenging times of managing HR with less resources and less staff, or, whatever the message is. I don't know if you do events. I know a broker in Michigan who did, they do barbecues. I'm like, oh shoot, I love that. I mean, that's totally warm and friendly, and they invite prospects and they invite clients, and hopefully, the clients can talk to the prospects. If you do events, invite them to an event. Invite them to, even if it doesn't matter if you had any intention that they might even go, but invite them to a speaking engagement that you have where you're the MC. You're speaking at yada yada, and you just wanted to let them know, right? So if you happen to be in Washington, D.C., and you're going to this, World Healthcare Congress, I'll be speaking on this day at this time on this subject. Hey, you just bought a little piece of their brain, right? You could just send them links. Hey, wonderful HR article, diversity, equity, and inclusion article, ESG article, whatever it is that they're into. Send them a link. So see how this works, guys? It's very simple. Anybody got commentary or questions while we're going here? Turn on the comments. It's hard to see. Facebook has neutered just about all the notifications, but that's not your problem. So you could offer special offers. Hey, we just contracted a new super low cost PEPM, zero copay, unlimited virtual medical office visits. I'm just thinking with genomic testing and generics at $3. If you have something that's special, just send it to them. Make them a special offer. Obviously, the thinking about you is really easy. You could do a personal visit. It's Valentine's Day. I mean, my gosh, there's so many holidays. You could look up on the calendar on Google of 365 days a year. It's some day, right? It's National Popcorn Day. You could have fun with that if that's your thing, right? If you're comfortable with that, you show up with this giant menagerie of popcorn, and hey, it's National Popcorn Day, and I was thinking of you, and would love to take you to lunch, take you to breakfast, whatever it is, right? That's doable. If you do events, you take pictures at the event, right? And then you send them a little quick email with some pictures and go, hey, I'm sorry you missed out, right? Because you invited them, right? You invited them to the event. They weren't able to make it. You send them pictures and you go, oh, it's so wonderful getting together with our clients because we have such a meaningful long-term relationship. And did I mention, I mean, our average client is with us 15 years. And it's just so easy. You could, even if you're just if you're not in management, if you don't own your agency, you could have a management call to reach out, post no action on the pitch, and have the management do the survey for you. Say, we're very concerned. We weren't able to do business with you at this time, and while that's okay, you had this or you had that thing going on. We wanted to know, is there something that we didn't have? Is there something we could have added? And you let management do the survey. You could send them a special gift, right? In talking to HR and doing the small talk, you found out that they're a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan, and you can tell them about, oh my gosh, I remember I was at this event and Terry Bradshaw spoke, and it was just hilarious because he literally he was sweating so profusely. He needed towels to dry off, and this was one of his don't worry, I washed it. This was one of his terrible, I don't remember what they call them, the terrible towels. And knowing you're a Steelers fan, I thought of you, and so I'm dropping it off. And so there's just all sorts of things you can do. All sorts of things. I remember my son told me about one. You could get a life-size model of yourself, those things that stick on the wall for your kids, the different athletes and things, you put them on the wall, big heads, I think. And you could just have a model with, make fun of it, make a joke out of it, and say, just wanting to make a big first impression before our next meeting, right? If you have somebody who's unique, you got a unique client, or heck, I would probably have fun if I was still doing retail, and I'd use those services like Cameo, right? They got all these stars, they got singers, they got athletes, they got actors, they got actresses, and you can literally hire them from anywhere from $5 to $500, and they'll pretty much say or do anything you want as a message. And some of them go 30 seconds, and you literally, I mean, you could have them make a message to the prospect. Different ideas. You could heck, you could even, after the 12th or 15th one, you could have a little mea culpa. I'm not meaning to be it's kind of like a soft apology, right? We're just meaning to be consistent, to continue to add value, because we want you to remember us when your healthcare renewal becomes a top priority item for you, right? That's a contact. So there's just so much. The industry's full of shiny objects, right? There must be a half a dozen. Gosh, I was going to say a year, but it seems like it's more like a month sometimes. Hey, just got this in. Thought you might like it. I remember that when we talked, you had an incredible number of part-time employees, and this is the super new, mech at half the price, and maybe there's something they want there. And so that's a hey, just came in, thought of you. So that's about it, guys. There's just all sorts of ways for you to follow up. Hopefully I've given you 10 or 20 or 25 different ideas Use them. Your competitors are not using them, right? So when you do business with Virtue Health Alliance, you'll keep getting more ideas like this, and we will help you shorten the sales cycle, sell more business, convert more fully insured into self-insured, and do it the right way, and then be able to keep it and learn how to renew it. I can't tell you guys how many times John tells me stories, and I just want to shake my head of, you have to remember, you guys put yourself in the situations that you're in. So if your client expects you to shop 18 reinsurance carriers every year and every renewal, well, shame on you. That's not consulting. That's brokering. So you have to decide at the end of the day. I'll leave you with this. Are you a consultant that tries to help them control healthcare claims cost? Or are you just a manager? Right? There's a big difference between the two. Managers just act like brokers, and they connect buyers with sellers, and they do spreadsheets, and they get a bunch of quotes, and they go, see, we did our work trying to get you the cheapest rate. That's not consulting. So that's it for this week. Check back with us next week. John will be back in town, and we'll be doing our show 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific every Thursday. Heads Up Advisor. Have a great week.